in, everybody. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. We had a nice little winner to wrap things up last night. Dallas Mavericks had a nice little closing value there, and Luka Doncic took care of business. 50 piece, 15 assists, one-man army, got it done in Phoenix. That was our winner last night. Pretty crazy day in the NFL. All three favorites, turnover problems across the board. Raiders, 2 defensive scores. Purdy, 4 interceptions. Eagles let the Giants hang around. All the dogs forcing turnovers to keep it interesting. And then obviously we weren't here on Sunday, but some crazy games that was going on Sunday as well in the NFL. Obviously some of the big wins, but just some of the crazy covers. I know we touched on the live yesterday. Washington Commanders for us, crazy backdoor cover. Thought we were dead in the water in that game. New England for getting a big win in Sunday Night Football, pretty much eliminating the Denver Broncos. John, crazy weekend, football and the NBA. Hope you had a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, hope all our guys had a Merry Christmas. Mavericks made it a Merry Christmas at the end. Not happy during the early part of the day. We threw a unit on the Bucks at halftime. Bucks were shooting 40-something%. Giannis held to 9 points, 51 points as a team in the first half. They had absolutely owned the Knicks prior to yesterday's game. And we got what we thought we'd get out of the second half offensively. This Bucks team is just I think this is going to be the difference. I just don't know that I would have gotten. Not that I don't know. I know I wouldn't have went for Lillard and gotten away with offense for defense. So they gave Jalen Brunson absolutely abused the Bucks in both games of that back-to-back series. So that's going to be a problem for the Bucks going forward. Can't talk much about Embiid because he didn't show up. What can we say about Luka other than I told you yesterday, me, Ben, and 2 other guys could join Luka and we're a team. I told you Luka would beat KD and Booker. Booker and KD, they didn't even show up. Those look like imposters. Phoenix is in trouble. We've been saying that for a while. As far as football. So anyway, we lost a unit here, unit there with the Lakers. Let me just touch on Boston. They're out of this world. I mean, they're out of this world. I didn't want to give too much credit for destroying the Clippers the game before because Kawhi did not play.
Yep.
After being able just to go and basically wipe out the Lakers also. Again, look, there was no doubt going into the game, but they just keep separating themselves. Now to get to a point that I have to address for my guys in the chat and guys in general. I totally get how losing sucks, especially around Christmas Day. But there's nothing that I hate more than Monday morning quarterbacks. So if anybody had something to say about why did we bet 1 unit on the Lakers, why didn't you say something at halftime when they were down 1? I hate when you wait till the end of the game and say, how could we have bet? Well, we bet the Lakers because the Celtics still have a terrible on-the-road record. They played last year. The Lakers hadn't been a home dog with AD and LeBron healthy since the last time the Celtics were there, and that game went to overtime. It was a 1 unit bet, thought it was worth it. But again, not even the point. Just, you got an opinion, state it before the game starts. State it at halftime when it's a 1-point game, not when the game's over. Too easy to call the outcome when the games are over. Same thing with our guys talking about the football. Yeah, we should have been on all 3 dogs. We got a crystal ball. Kansas City had absolutely owned the Raiders. The Raiders scored 2 touchdowns on 2 plays. Fumble 6, pick 6. You don't see that every day, do you? The Giants, they were another lock plus 14. Say it at halftime. The game was all right. They were getting destroyed at halftime. I guess everybody watched the game. The Eagles run into each other on the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
And then you have a guy slip for a pick 6. Another 14 points out of nowhere, and they still lost by 9. Again, guys, Yeah, we have the chat. You can say whatever you want. I don't even go in there on things like this because I get losing is tough. Again, especially on Christmas. But just to say shit, just to say it, it's silly. Again, you got an opinion? If you got an opinion different than mine, don't bet the game. You got your own opinion, bet the game. But don't come on after the game's over. Come on before the game starts and let me know what you think. The one dog that I could have bet yesterday was the Ravens. Look, we said if the Giants would have went to 14F, I would have bet the Giants. It didn't get there. I didn't make the bet. That's an edge. 14 to 14.5 is a difference. The other game was the Ravens. I said it was Ravens or nobody. If the game would have hit 7, I would have bet the Ravens. I just didn't think it was an edge. That's the one game that shocked me. Ben was right about Purdy all the time. He is Mr. Irrelevant. He's just in a system, it looks like. You cannot come. And I don't know that I've seen a supposed MVP candidate come with a worse game in a big game like that. On the first drive, when he throws that interception, I mean, that was a terrible interception on the first drive. I'm like, San Fran's dead here. Even with the help of the officials,
to get the safety,
giving the Ravens a safety, they still couldn't get it done. You could just see by the second interception, actually put it in the chat, he's rattled. I don't know that I typed the D in there, and he came back and threw another one. So I don't know. I don't know that this only hurts for one game, but for how much down the road. All of a sudden, Donald comes in, throws a TD, and you got an MVP to a QB controversy. Who's starting next week? San Francisco. Look, I still believe they're the best team. Ravens did what they had to do yesterday. They went to San Francisco and beat them. And Purdy, 4 picks, 4 interceptions, 5 on the day if you count Donald's one at the end of the game. So that was the one game that shocked me. Not that the Ravens won, but how bad Purdy was. And then the tackling for San Francisco. San Francisco's the team that gets the yards after catch. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't tackle. Right. The Queen on the interception, it looked like nobody wanted to bring him down. Looked like Baltimore was ready, and I don't know how to say this, but it doesn't look like San Fran was. I don't know what Purdy was reading, but yeah, again, Mr. Irrelevant. So we saw we saw a lot over the weekend. A lot confirmed our stuff. Celtics, best team in the NBA. It's by far. Phoenix getting worse, literally with each passing game getting worse. Luka, I would have loved to see what Embiid could have done yesterday. Luka puts a 50 up. I believe that's the 3rd highest on a Christmas Day game. We were told yesterday it's Embiid, Luka. Embiid may be the top notch. And Embiid, I don't know if I had said it. Embiid has got 13 straight 30-plus point, 10-plus rebound games straight. That hasn't been done since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So just wrap your mind around that. But Luka, again, he's doing it with, again, no help, pretty much no help. Lively come back. He did have a nice game last night. I will say that, Lively. So, yeah, Dallas could go as far as Luka take him. Phoenix, forget Phoenix. San Fran better get their act together. Still feel they're the best team. Baltimore, do they have that letdown spot for you, Ben, in this Miami game now? This is going to be tough to come off that game. We've already seen that line go up. That line actually started 3.5 and hit 4. So a lot learned. We take a small positive out of yesterday, and we're on to today.
Yeah, I'm hoping Miami has a similar letdown after the win against Dallas, but definitely not quite the same feel. And yeah, Baltimore, I mean, as far as Purdy, I don't know if you guys heard that stat they mentioned on the game last night, but now San Fran under Shanahan, 0-8 when down by 8 or more points 0-38 when down by 8 or more points in the fourth quarter. That's just a QB stat. You have no QB who can go win you a game late. And I know that's hard to win when you're down by 8 or more. You're going to be getting good plus money. You've talked about from a betting perspective, but still, plenty of these quarterbacks in the NFL, Burrow, Mahomes, Josh Allen, whoever you want to name, they're able to make those late games close and able to give it a fighting chance as a QB stat. And yeah, San Francisco, last 6-7 years, best roster on the planet with the worst quarterback going for him. And we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo, as soon as he goes elsewhere, it doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. So Purdy's decent, but not that guy. Not going to be able to win you a game. You need the team to win the game, and they just didn't do it for him last night. Crazy weekend in the NFL.
Let's just touch on one more thing, too. One more thing that I learned. We knew Kansas City wasn't the same team. They're in trouble. They're blowing up.
Yeah.
Mahomes going crazy. His receivers have been dropping balls on him all year. Now you start lacking confidence in receivers. You start not throwing the ball. You're holding the ball an extra split second. That line is breaking down. He's running for his life. Raiders were all over. Kansas City did not look like one of the top teams in the AFC yesterday. So I've dropped my rating on them. They're going to have to figure that out. They could be a first-round exit. I think they might have their hands full with a playoff revenge-looking Cincinnati this week. I think Bengals have had an extra day. They laid a bomb. If they get Chase back, they could give Chiefs problems right now.
Yeah, right now, the way it's lining up, it could end up being Kansas City, Buffalo in that first round, which would definitely be a handful. I agree. They don't look right, and you can't lose a game where your defense allows 2 field goals and 60 yards passing. I mean, that's as good as you're going to get defensively.
Passing, right. The Raiders, the kid O'Connell was horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. But look, we talked about it. When you get 2 touchdowns, as the Raiders did, a fumble 6, a pick 6, you ain't going to lose that game. Look how much better the Eagles are, still beating the Giants by 9 points. A fumble on a kickoff that led right to a touchdown and a pick 6. Usually you don't overcome that. They were so much better, and they should have been the 14-point favorite that they were, that they're still able to win by a comfortable margin. Not cover, but again, guys, no crystal balls to get 2 pickoffs, pick 6s, fumble 6s. Say it before the game start, and show me what kind of handicap you are. We bet where we see an edge, and I thought that we saw an edge on the halftime at the Bucks game. Thought we saw a slight edge with the Laker game, and the big edge was the day of the game. Our 3-unit bet was the Mavericks, and that's when we make a bet, not just a bet on every single game. I had my leans. I gave you the leans if you watched Instagram Live, and we would have connected on the 2 late football games. I don't bet against trends. Very rarely. Something's got to really be off for me to bet against the trends, and the trends were KC and Philadelphia, 2 teams that had owned division rivals going into the game yesterday.
And that was the Christmas slate, guys. Hope all you guys who bet it had some success, especially those of you guys who aren't members, if you guys tuning in. If you guys want all our bets, everything going, already some bets out for this week 17 in the NFL, make sure you sign up on MassaEdge.com or download the Massa Edge app. And, John, you ready to start diving into this NBA slate? We have a pretty good one going today.
Yep. Let's kick that off.
This top game here, we have the Nets at the Pistons. Second game of a home-and-home. Nets just crushed the Pistons the other night in Brooklyn. They've now won 9 of the last 10 meetings. Detroit, 26 straight losses. I mean, they helped Nets snap a 5-game losing streak. I'm not looking to be betting a team who's lost 26 in a row, 6-19-1 against the spread. As good as Detroit in the last couple of weeks, they've had 2 amazing spots to get up and show up for a win. Hasn't happened. Not looking to do it here in the second game of a home-and-home.
And this is a good spot for them. If it was any other team, they'll be getting Duran and Hayes back tonight. They've missed some time. This is a home-and-home. And Brooklyn goes back home to play the Bucks tomorrow. So could be in a little look-ahead spot for Milwaukee, for Brooklyn, looking at Milwaukee. Why am I going to play a team that's lost 26 straight, have only covered 6 of those games? It's a good spot. Man, I actually hope Detroit gets a win, but I can't bet them.
Then we have Magic at Washington. Magic coming off a win at Indiana the other night. Banchero, another big game. Suggs and Ingles both questionable for this one. And then you have this Wizards team who's coming back from a pretty good trip, all considered. Just 1-3 on it, but they went 3-0-1 against the spread. Poole and Kuzma coming off some bad shooting performances at Golden State. And Magic, they won the last 4 meetings, 3-1 against the spread. I don't want to be back in Washington at home. This is the worst home team against the spread in the NBA. Just not getting it done this season. They've been a bit better lately. They've been covered a bit more, but 2-8, 3-7 against the spread at home would be a nice little spot here for this Orlando team. You know, Orlando kind of on the cusp of trying to becoming one of these Eastern Conference contenders. Clearly, they're a tier behind the Bucks, the Knicks, the Celtics, and Sixers. But if you want to be on that tier, this is a must-win situation for them. They got to take care of games like this.
They do, but again, they're in a little bit of a tough spot coming off the win at Indy, 2 days, play at Wash, and they go home tomorrow to play a Philly team that has absolutely owned them 11-1 the last 12. So could be a little look-ahead spot here. As Ben said, you got Suggs, Ingles, they missed the last couple of games. Both questionable. Kuzma also questionable for this game. Wizards cover on the road, don't cover at home. 6 is the right number. We'll wait to get the info, the injury info, and where the line is later on today.
We got Grizzlies at New Orleans. Grizzlies coming off a nice win at Atlanta. Make it 3 straight with Morant. They're looking good. He's looking good. And the rotationary players there, I mean, Bane and Jackson, really solid players. They needed a ball handler. And just having a guy back who can be that ball handler, being Morant, just makes those 2 guys that much better. They're playing pretty good ball right now. Then you have this Pelicans team coming off a home loss to Houston. Zion was solid. They had turnover issues, though. New Orleans, you guys know the story at home, 9-6, 10-5 against the spread. And this just becomes a spot play. You have this Memphis team, obviously in Morant's first game back. They overcome the 24-point deficit, rally back. Morant hits the game winner on them. Pelicans, though, 7-1 straight up against the spread the prior 8 meetings in New Orleans. Have to imagine the show up with revenge tonight, John.
Yeah, here's our one bet so far today. We lead Pelicans -4 when this line came out. As Ben said, Memphis, different team now with Ja on the court. I didn't think he'd make this big a difference, but he absolutely is. But they've got to go back. They that's just a week ago. That revenge is fresh in their minds. Up 24. Mm-hmm. They let one slip away, and the way they let it slip away, Ja with the buzzer beater to win it at the end. Pelicans will come. Not only that they take that loss, they take a loss at home against Houston their last game. Solid home team, the Pelicans. Had owned the matchup in New Orleans against the Grizzlies. Look for them to get one up on the Grizzlies in this one. We laid 4 points. That's our only bet so far.
Yeah, a little add to the spot as well. Memphis gets Denver next in Denver, so a little bit of a look ahead to the reigning champs perhaps, but obviously they're going to show up for this game in New Orleans. You have the Hawks at the Bulls in this next matchup. Hawks coming off that loss to the Grizzlies. Trae Young, he's questionable. He's been playing phenomenal lately. And a little murmur is starting to pop up about perhaps DeJounte Murray hitting the trade market. So we'll see how that affects them going down the stretch here. Atlanta, just 3-16 against the spread their last 19, just not covering games. They have this Bulls team who's been playing really good ball, but they're coming off a loss to a Cavs team with nobody, no Mitchell, no Garland, no Mobley, obviously. They had a horrible shooting night in that game. The bench was a no-show, but still, Bulls 8-4, 10-2 against the spread their last 12. And I lean to Chicago here. You have 2 teams, one's covering, one's not. Bulls has had some success in this matchup at home. They did split 2 meetings in Chicago last year. Bulls are nobody, though, in this spot, especially if Trae Young is out.
Yeah, all depending on Trae. Trae Young has been phenomenal. 7 straight 30-plus point, 10-plus rebound games coming into this one. And here he is questionable. Also, Hunter, the small forward, he underwent a procedure. He's going to be out the next couple of weeks. As Ben said, this team don't cover for nothing, Atlanta. They're a little better on the road than at home, but they've been absolutely horrible. We were against them in their last game with the Grizzlies. and the Grizzlies went and beat them at home. Go to Chicago. Chicago was playing great ball, cruising. Looked like the easiest thing in the world. Chicago at home against an undermanned Cavs team, already missing Garland and Mobley. We're going to be without Mitchell, LeVert, and Merrill. Got to win it. No. Cavs by 14 at Chicago. There is no locks in this game. Anything can happen on any given day. And it happened to Chicago the other day. If Trey is out, already missing Hunter, yes, Chicago or nobody. But that line is already flipped. The opener was 2, which was a borderline take for me. Come back to it a minute later. The Trey Young questionable gets announced, and they flip it to the other side, the favorite. So we kind of missed the boat on this one. We'll wait to see if Young is back in. Obviously, he comes back in. That line is going to go back. So we'll be waiting to see what happens on that one.
We got the Pacers going on to Houston. They're coming off that loss to Magic. They're now 1-6 straight up against the spread. Their last 7. Rockets playing good ball right now, coming off another road win at New Orleans. Start off the year, couldn't get a road win. Now starting to get a couple here and there. Sengun, another monster game in that one, 37, 11, and 6. This is going to be a really interesting matchup. You have this Rockets team who's been elite at home, 12-2, 11-2-1 against the spread. Pacers have owned this matchup, and I know it's a different Indiana team. It's a different Houston team. Pacers, they've won the last 7 meetings, 5-2 against the spread, including 4 straight in Houston. But yeah, this Rockets team who leads the NBA in points allowed, second in the NBA in points allowed, and then you have Indiana who leads the NBA in scoring, 29th in points allowed. Who's going to be able to dictate pace in this one? Very interesting with the Rockets, how obviously Udoka has completely changed his team around. Can they get that identity? Can they do that against this Indiana team? My lean here is to Houston. It's got to be a team that's got to slow down Indiana, see if they can take them out of their style of play.
Yeah, tough to buck that trend. 7 straight wins, 5-2 against the spread for the Pacers. Mm-hmm. Also winning the last 4 at Houston. Again, Houston was an abysmal team the last couple of years prior to getting turned around this year. Udoka, I mean, what the job he's done, it's just incredible. But Brown out for the Pacers tonight. He's an important piece for them. Yes, they're deep, but Brown gives them a lot. He's going to miss his 2nd straight game tonight for the Pacers. We'll see where this line goes. Right now, I mean, I make it 3. But again, just hard not to like the Pacers as they've dominated this series. Just can't play them right now. 1-6, their last 7 games. Again, as we spoke about the other day, this team on their ascension to this in-season tournament finals, they got by. They were putting $140s up on teams just not ready for what they were going to see from them. They're ready. They're a different team in this last couple of weeks.
We have Jazz going on to San Antonio. Jazz playing really good ball right now. They coming off a big road win at Toronto. Markin and Clarkson both back, combined for 60. Now 5-2. Their last 7 games playing good basketball and a little bit better on the road. A couple of those last wins there on the road. They are still just 4-13, 5-11-1 on the road this season. And then you have the Spurs team. They're just coming off a loss to Dallas. Wemby didn't play. Hurt his ankle in warm-ups. Hopefully all's going to be okay there. The Spurs team, 1-22, their last 23, 8-15 against the spread. Spurs have had success covering in this matchup. I don't want to get on them and get in the spot in Utah. I thought Pistons were going to be able to get it up against Utah with them coming in. And that was a shorthanded Utah team and not many more points different off that line. Spurs are much better than Detroit. So lean on this game, as bad as the Jazz are on the road, is to the Jazz.
Yeah, San Antonio, Detroit, this is what we call the falling knife. Do not try to catch the falling knife. Things are bad. Wemby, if you guys saw it, he's trying to make a layup in warm-ups and steps on the ball boy's foot. That's how he turns his ankle. When things are bad, they're just fucking bad, and they just can't get any worse. I guess they can get worse for San Antonio. They could beat Detroit, so they're this much better than Detroit. But Jay's actually playing decent ball, and that goes with the injuries, guys. No mystery. Markin and Clarkson both come back. They combined for 60. They were down big at Toronto, and they come back and knock them off, and would expect them to do the same at a falling San Antonio. That's why the line has gone up. Now the line is gone. The number is gone. It's already up to 3.5 now. That number opened up 1.5 without knowing if Wembanyama was in. That number seems fair, but I'm not on that game.
And we have T-Wolves at OKC. Minnesota getting a nice road win in Sacramento. Edwards, solid night there. They're 5-1. Their last 6. This Thunder team, they lost to the Lakers the other night. They gave up the big game to LeBron. SGA still had a solid performance. Giddey, he left game. Williams, illness. They're questionable. Got to see what's going on with those guys. Thunder playing pretty good ball. They're 10-5 straight up against the spread at home. Minnesota just owns this matchup. 9 of the last 10 meetings, 6-3-1 against the spread. Wolves started off this year a little bit of road struggles, but since then they have picked it up big time. They've been playing great on the road lately. Don't want any part of OKC in this spot, especially if they end up without Giddey. Towns is questionable, but I really wouldn't mind Minnesota at a better price without Towns. I think Edwards and Gobert are the two most important pieces on that team.
Yeah, well, it's Edwards' team now. Do like how Cat and Gobert figured it out. Both Ben and I said when this happened last year, couldn't see the Twin Towers playing together. Didn't work last year. Looks like with some time now it's working, but also with that, Edwards has just taken his game up. Timberwolves made the trades necessary, getting rid of Russell, bringing in Conley, more of a straight point guard. So really like that makeup of that team. Love what McDaniels gives them defensively. So just love this Timberwolves team. And that's why I've got them rated as the second best team in the West right now under Denver. That being said, we got to see what the situation is with Cat. OKC coming off a loss against the Lakers, and now face a team that they just can't beat. Went to Minnesota earlier this year, lose by 3, right on the number. The number was 3 on that game. Got to see where the injuries are. Got to see where the line is. But it would be Nitty or nobody for me in this one.
Yep, me and you both. And then we got Kings at Portland going next here. Kings coming off that loss to the Wolves. Blazers, they were crushed by Golden State the other night. Portland's struggling right now, 1-9, their last 10. NBA worst, 3-10, 4-9 against the spread at home. Then you have the Sac team who's playing decent right now. They're just 500 on the road. Monk, he's questionable. And it's really, you want any part of this Portland team. Portland plays this matchup tough. Just not getting it done at home right now. Would be a lean to the Kings in this matchup. Don't have any interest in laying this many points on the road. Tough game all around, staying away, John.
Sacramento and nobody in this game. Portland really doesn't play this one tough. They played them tough at Sacramento, but they were coming off 2 beatdowns last year at Portland by a combined 64 points. I think Sac will come in and really try to run another one up on them coming off that loss that they had at home with the Timberwolves. Top of that, Sharps missed the last couple of games for Portland. Questionable today. And Ayton's going to be questionable. And here you go, Portland. As soon as they got healthy, played a couple of decent games, they're back to being unhealthy. And they've been horrible at home. Sack and nobody, but this line has already kind of got there up to 8 already. And that's with Monk questionable. Monk comes in, they're going to be a 9-point favorite. Well, things should get worse. Sharp and 8 now. This thing could even touch 10.
And the last game on the card, Hornets at the Clippers. Hornets covered against Denver the other night. They did have 17 turnovers in that game. Miller, he left game. He's questionable. They've now lost 7 in a row. And this Clippers team, they've now played 2 in a row without Kawhi Leonard. The first 2 games he's missed this season, they dropped both of those. Terrence Mann 0 for 10 the other night against the Celtics. I thought the Celtics, I thought this Clippers team was better without Kawhi. I thought they had more. He is clearly alpha. He is clearly the guy. And then 2, that Celtics win the other night in L.A. Really impressive. Both wins in L.A., actually. A really impressive way for them to close out the road trip. I didn't think they were that good on the road. This is a little bit of a chicken soup game for the Clippers. They own this matchup against the Hornets. Obviously, they would like to have Kawhi Leonard in the game. But even with him out, I wouldn't mind the Clippers at a cheaper price without him. I know they've looked horrible the last 2 games without him, but this Hornets team is just on a lower tier than the rest.
That's why I didn't lay this game yesterday. This is a get-right game for the Clippers. If if Kawhi didn't play just a couple of games ago against Boston, this would have to be a miracle turnaround to turn him around and play in this one. Figured that he was going to sit out in this one, and I thought that would take the line down a little bit. The line has actually jumped up from 11 to 12, and that's just because everybody knows Clippers are going to stomp out the Hornets tonight after getting stomped out by the Celtics. Again, was hoping that Kawhi info would be posted. It would bring it down maybe under 10. I mean, Kawhi is huge. This team, 2 games before these last 2 games that they lost, I had this team right up there, right under Denver and the Timberwolves in the West. They were my 3rd team. Kawhi means that much to them. 4 points. My rating for Kawhi right now is all of 4 points.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to wait to see if he's in or out. Clippers are nobody. They've absolutely owned them. Hornets going out there. They're a beat-up squad. Still going to be without the center, Williams. As Ben said, Miller left the game. Rozier didn't play the last game. He'll play in this game. But, here's a spot Clippers should get right on the Hornets. We're just waiting to see if Kawhi's in or not.
Yeah, forget the fact that Kawhi scoring almost 30 a game on that 9-game win streak. I mean, only 2 games they lost. They allowed OKC and Boston to shoot 47% from 3. I mean, he's just one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. So losing that hurts in itself. But that is the Tuesday NBA slate after Christmas Day. Like we said, we have 1 bet so far. You guys know the story this time of year. A lot of injuries, a lot of questionables, and that could change later on through today. 1 bet already out for NFL this upcoming week. If you guys want that, you know where to sign up. John, I don't know if you have anything else for us here.
We got some great NFL this weekend.
Absolutely.
Now we're looking at this Miami-Baltimore game, and this game's going to kind of remind me of the Dallas-Buffalo game a couple of weeks ago. Both teams coming off huge wins, and now who's showing up for this game? We saw the last time it was the home team, Buffalo, able to come off their win at KC. Excuse me. And Dallas was the visiting team, just didn't pull the no-show coming off the Eagles. So Miami, Baltimore, great game. They'll be battling this game. If you guys remember last year, I believe it was week 2, Miami goes into Baltimore. Baltimore with a big lead, a tremendous comeback, and Miami gets the win. Thursday night's game, something similar. This was one of my toughest losses last year, but one of my tougher losses in a while. Jets, Cleveland. Cleveland 13. So Cleveland's got the lead. And what was it? Chubb that decided he's going to score the touchdown.
Yep.
They go down. And this is why the smart guys go down. Yeah, it could rarely happen, but it happened. Chubb scores the touchdown. They kick off. Jets come back with a touchdown.
Joe Flacco Jets, too. The Joe Flacco was the QB.
Right, how the turnaround now, and now Joe Flacco's facing them. Cleveland gets the onside kick. Jets get the onside kick, score another touchdown, and they win the game. So that'll be fresh in their minds. Joe Flacco. Joe fucking Flacco. 3 straight 300-plus yard games, touchdowns, win. He'll look to rub it in on the Jets. We'll see what kind of weather they get. Look, weather's going to play a big part. We'll start checking out weather reports. We're end of December, New Year right around the corner. So when you're in Cleveland in a night game, you got to be checking that weather. That total already down at 36.
Yeah, I have no idea how that revenge angle works if Joe Flacco is the quarterback that did that in 60 seconds. But crazy turnaround, and Cleveland found a gem. I've said it again. I've said it time and time again. Shame on the Jets for not going to Joe Flacco when Rodgers got hurt week 1. It really just started to look more and more and more like a drastic front office mistake.
If the Jets were a serious contender, I would understand. They're not. They've really got a good defense. But is that defense elite? It really isn't. It's good. It's a real good defense. But let's put it this way. The Commanders put 28 on them this last week.
Nope.
You got already Rodgers there. You had Zach Wilson signed. I'm not going to fault them for not going to Flacco. Great job, Cleveland, picking Flacco up. I mean, just unbelievable. They're going to be in the playoffs. They could actually be the top wild card and do some damage there. Look, top wild card. If you're going to get the Jaguars right now, the way the Jaguars are playing, Browns just beat them, and they're getting better while the Jaguars are getting worse. Chiefs are in trouble in case the Chiefs fall to that 4 spot. So this is a big game for Cleveland. Don't think that they'll get caught sleeping in this one. Jets, they won their game. We don't even know who the quarterback's going to be this week. Does Wilson come back from the concussion? So we'll wait to see on that one. Baltimore, Miami, we talked about. Great game. Another game be battling for first place. Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield's been a different quarterback. Saints, couple of extra days, though. They played Thursday last week. Let's see what happens in that one.
Yeah, the Bills going to be the biggest Ravens fans this week as well, because if they get if Ravens get that win, Buffalo, that last game in Miami will be for the division, so that could make up for a really, really exciting Week 18. Lots to talk about later on this week about NFL, guys. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Like, comment, subscribe below. Help us grow this thing. Let's win some games, Sean.
Let's win some games.